Hey, what's up, everybody? Today I'm going to be going around the streets, finding people to interview, asking them what they do for a living, how they actually make money, and some of these answers are going to absolutely shock you. So stick around to the end because you will not believe what some of these people do for a living, how they make their money, and what brought them over to Georgia in the first place. So let's go ahead and find a few people.
Hey, do you mind if I ask you a few questions? You don't look like you're from here. Whereabouts are you from?
USA,
Oh, nice. Which part? Me too.
Pennsylvania.
Oh, cool. So what brings you over to the Republic of Georgia?
I just kind of like living here. Pretty simple, honestly.
What else do you love about living in Georgia?
Well, I have really great friends here. I quite like the city. I like the culture, and it's a great place to live whenever you're building up a business.
What is something that you think people don't understand about living overseas or living in Georgia?
You know, a lot of people, particularly in the United States, seem to think that anytime you leave the United States that it's going to be super dangerous and crazy, when really that's just not the case at all. I mean, if you look around here, this is like really quite nice compared to most places in America. It's super safe, clean, has everything you need. That's what I think most people don't really realize about living outside of the country, is that there's a lot of other places in the world that are really nice.
So what brought you to Georgia initially? Like anything in particular?
Yeah, the truth is I was living in Ukraine, and I was dating a girl who was Ukrainian, and she really was like, "Oh, Georgia's so great, you have to visit." So I had to come here to fill out some visa forms for Ukraine. So, as it happened, I ended up liking it here more than Ukraine. So there you go.
Wow. And so what do you do for a living?
So I own a copywriting agency, so I employ a bunch of writers to work on different jobs for different clients online.
Oh, nice. Can that make good money doing that?
I mean, depending on how hard you work, but yeah, it certainly can.
Like roughly, how much can you make per month with writing or copywriting?
I mean, the sky's really the limit. I know people out there who are making $100,000 a month with a similar business. There's also people out there making $500 a month with the same business. It really just depends on the level that you're willing to scale it to and the amount of work I think you're willing to put into getting clients and then delivering material as well. And then, of course, maintaining quality across all that spectrum also.
I noticed you have a really nice watch there. What type of watch is that?
This is a Rolex Submariner.
Ooh, fancy. So how long ago did you buy that?
I got this about 8 months ago. Yeah, about 8 months ago in Miami.
All right. So why do you think most people fail with entrepreneurship?
That's a good question. The reason I think most people fail with entrepreneurship is because they think that they're going to be successful with anything other than a maximal amount of effort put in. I think that with all the ventures I've started and everything I've done in my life, I always thought everything was going to be easier than it actually was. And the truth is, it's always so much harder. It always takes way longer. And really deciding you're going to put in anything less than your maximal effort, I think is a really great way to either not hit your goal or just to end up very average. And for most people, that's okay. If you just want to have an average, normal life, that's great. I don't hold that against you. But if you're actually an ambitious person who has high aspirations for themselves, nothing other than your maximal amount of effort should be acceptable to you.
What is your most controversial business opinion?
My most controversial business opinion is that most people who get MBAs have no idea what they're talking about. They've never run a business. Their professors have not run businesses. It's a gigantic scam in that regard, that you go to college to learn how to do business and you're taught by people who've never done business, and then you yourself are going to go work for a company. It's not how it's done. It's not how it actually happens in the real world. So that'll probably ruffle a few feathers, but that's what I think.
Did you go to university?
I did, yeah.
What did you study at university?
I studied communications at the University of Pittsburgh.
And did you graduate?
I did. Of course I graduated. What kind of question is that?
And so did you work at all with communications, or what did you do right after university?
Yeah, for about 10 years, I was a touring DJ. So I guess you could say my communications degree kind of helped out with that. I guess you communicate a little bit in the music industry. But no, I never had a formal office job or anything of that type. It was always something that I had started myself or that I was doing through the internet, but no, I never really worked for a company.
So how did you make your first dollar as an online entrepreneur?
Yeah, man. That's a good question. So it really just started off with necessity. I had been living overseas and I wanted to have a remote income stream that I could basically use or not use, but I basically wanted to make money on my computer so that I could live anywhere in the world. And I just kind of had to start doing it. I was never one of these people who like loves doing business or, wanted to be like Gary Vee or Bill Gates or anybody like that. In fact, that all seemed really boring to me when I was younger. It was more that I just had to start making money, and it just kind of grew from there. It all started out of necessity, and it's really just continued just because I now have this thing that I want to keep growing.
So how did you make your first dollar online? Doing what?
I made my first dollar online copywriting for clients. So it was writing for a sales page for a company. I don't remember exactly what it was. It was some sort of e-commerce product or an online course or something like that. But yeah, that was basically it.
And so how can people learn about copywriting or freelance writing?
Yeah, man. I mean, there's a bunch of great courses online right now. If you're to go on YouTube, TikTok, any of these resources and really just look up freelance writing course, et cetera, et cetera. There's a lot of people out there in the space who are talking about how they do it and what they do. And at the same time, too, it really just takes being ambitious and getting out there and just trying to find people who want someone to write for them, because they're all over the place. Most people can't write. If you have the ability to do that, you can make money online.
So what is your favorite thing about being an entrepreneur?
My favorite thing about being an entrepreneur is really just the level of freedom that you get from doing it. I mean, for example, it's Wednesday right now. It's about 3:00. I'm not in an office. I just got up a few hours ago. I'm going to go eat lunch after this. I will work, I'll still put in a solid 6 to 8 hours of work, but it's on my time, where I want to be, under the conditions that I kind of set for myself, not those that other people have created for me. That's my favorite part about it. On top of that, you can also make more money when you're working for yourself as opposed to whenever you are working for somebody else. They're naturally just going to kind of cap off your salary, and no one likes that. So
what is your least favorite thing about entrepreneurship?
Yeah, I mean, my least favorite part about it is that, like with anything, there's a certain level of uncertainty. I mean, even in the job market right now, you see a bunch of people getting laid off, and that totally sucks. But, as an entrepreneur, you're worried about getting laid off all the time. I mean, of course, you can have solid clients built up. You could have, the most stable thing in the world. But naturally, there's just going to be a lot more waves of uncertainty as an entrepreneur whenever you're responsible for hunting down your own clients and making your own money. That is one advantage of having a job, is you can kind of count on that job being there most of the time. So I can't say that I miss that or I want that life, but, that is definitely a benefit of that choice of action,
Would you recommend a Rolex as a good investment for somebody?
Actually, yeah. If you look at the prices of Rolex over the last 10 years or so, it pretty much increases at a rate. I don't remember the exact numbers, but it beats the S&P 500. It does not beat crypto, but if you're looking for another asset to kind of diversify into the actual physical world as opposed to just having crypto or shares in companies that you're never ever going to see that might, attain more value over time. But if you want to have something that's actually real, tangible, you can hold in your hand as part of your portfolio, I would suggest it. Yeah.
Is there any other investments that you recommend outside of like crypto or watches, anything that you recommend for people?
Yeah, I mean, I think it really depends on your individual risk tolerance. I know a lot of people who've made a lot of money in cryptocurrency. You've also lost a lot of money there. You can buy fractional reserves in kind of whatever blue chip stock you want these days. You can also buy index funds of the S&P 500, which is really the safest way of investing, in my opinion. But a lot of people are very bullish on real estate too, as we all know. It really just depends on your lifestyle and the specific conditions that you have. For someone like myself who lives overseas, who has somewhat of a mobile lifestyle, for the longest time, I've really just preferred investing in assets that I might not necessarily see every day, but I know are there. So really, there's a whole spectrum of stuff you get involved with. It really just depends on like who you are as a person and what you want to do with your life.
So what would be your most impactful book that you've read?
The most impactful book I've read is called The E-Myth Revisited. The author's name escapes me right now, but it basically talks all about small business organization, how to set up a company, and really everything that you should learn whenever you were first starting off, but no one teaches you. The book was written in the 90s. It's just as relevant today. It's an excellent book for anybody who wants to get into entrepreneurship.